Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, staring at your phone, waiting for a message that never comes? Maybe he started off so into you, those long, exciting conversations, the sweet compliments, the spark that made you think, maybe this time it's different. And then he started to pull away. He got busy. He got quiet. He got vague. And suddenly you're caught in that excruciating dance, chasing crumbs, analyzing texts, feeling the high of his attention and the crash when he withdraws again. And you wonder, why do I keep ending up here? Why do I keep attracting emotionally unavailable men? If that hits something in you, I want you to know, I see you. I see the ache behind the strong exterior, the way you hold everything together in your work, your friendships, your goals. But inside, there's this part of you that just wants to be held, chosen, met, fully. This pattern, this magnetic pull toward men who can't truly meet you, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to shift it. And when you do, everything changes. Because attracting emotionally unavailable men isn't just about them. It's about what you believe you deserve. It's about what you've been taught love should feel like. And it's about the parts of you, often unconscious, that are still waiting for something outside of you to make you feel enough. But here's the truth. No emotionally available man can come into your life until you become fully emotionally available to yourself. This is not about fixing. You're not broken. It's about reclaiming your standards. Coming back into your feminine worth. Learning how to receive instead of perform, and building the kind of magnetic presence that only comes when a woman is deeply, unshakably aligned with what she will and will not accept and love. So if you're ready to stop settling, stop chasing, and stop repeating the same exhausting pattern, let's walk through this together. Because there is a version of you on the other side of this radiant, receptive, and deeply cherished. And she's been waiting for you. Let me tell you about Rachel. Rachel's brilliant. She's a partner at her firm, commands every room she walks into. And on paper, she's the woman everyone thinks has it all together. But when it comes to love, it's another story. She recently met someone charming, confident, charismatic. He texted her all day after their first date. She felt butterflies again for the first time in a long time. She thought, maybe this is it. But then he started to pull back. He said he was busy, canceled plans last minute. The warmth faded, and she felt that all too familiar panic rise in her chest. So she started to overthink, reach out more, rationalize his distance. And before she knew it, she was wrapped in the emotional whirlwind she swore she'd never repeat. Maybe you've been there too. Here's what I want you to understand, lovingly and truthfully. If you keep finding yourself drawn to emotionally unavailable men, it's not because something's wrong with you. It's because something feels familiar. Your nervous system, your emotional blueprint, is often wired from very early experiences. And if love once felt like reaching, performing, or proving, then inconsistency will feel like home. So when a man shows up steady, emotionally present, and available, you might not even feel that same spark because your body isn't wired for safety in love yet. It's wired for survival in love. This is why we mistake intensity for intimacy. The highs and lows create a chemical roller coaster that feels real, but it's not real connection, it's trauma bonding. It's the ache of your inner child hoping this time someone will stay. So I want to ask you something tender and powerful. What did love feel like growing up? Did you have to earn it? Chase it? Were emotions met with silence or shut down? Because until we bring those old patterns to light, we stay loyal to them even when they hurt us. You're not broken, but your emotional compass might be pointing you toward pain disguised as passion. And here's the shift. Healing begins the moment you stop asking, why do I keep attracting this? And start asking, what in me is still attracted to this? That's where your power lives. And yes, this healing is deep, but it's not about digging up the past and staying stuck there. It's about gently noticing your patterns and then choosing again and again to honor the woman you are now, not the girl you once had to be. The next time you feel pulled towards someone emotionally unavailable, pause. Ask, does this feel familiar or does this feel fulfilling? Am I feeling seen or just stimulated? Is this safe or just exciting? This awareness, this pause, is what breaks the cycle. And if this part of your journey resonates deeply with you, if you feel like you're starting to connect the dots and open your heart in a new way, subscribe and stay close. We're just getting started. This kind of feminine healing and empowerment, it changes because when you stop confusing familiarity with love, you finally make space for something real. And real love is calm, not chaotic. It's available, not elusive. It feels like peace, not a performance. And you, the powerful, radiant, soft-hearted woman that you are, deserve nothing less. I once worked with a client named Isabel. She was smart, stunning, wildly successful, a force in every area of her life. She'd built her business from the ground up, led a team of 20, and never missed a beat. She knew how to take control, make decisions, and get results. But in dating, it felt like something was off. She kept attracting men who were passive, flaky, or simply unwilling to step up. Men who leaned back while she planned the dates, kept the conversations going, followed up, and made all the effort. At first she thought maybe I just haven't met the right one. But after the fourth emotionally absent man in a row, she came to me in tears and asked, why do I feel like I'm doing everything and getting nothing real in return? Here's what I told her and what I want you to hear today too. You're not attracting emotionally unavailable men because you're too successful. You're attracting them because your masculine energy, your doing, leading, fixing energy is running the show in your love life. And masculine energy attracts feminine energy. So if you're showing up with the plan, the pace, the pursuit, guess who you're naturally drawing in? The men who are happy to let you carry the emotional weight. The men who don't want to lead. The men who aren't anchored in their own masculine presence. It's not your fault. You've been celebrated and rewarded for your independence and strength. And I honor that. I live that too. But in love, there's a delicate and powerful art to softening, not shrinking into your feminine energy. It's not about doing less. It's about receiving more. Receiving care, receiving pursuit, receiving support. Letting a man lead without making yourself small. So ask yourself, when a man shows interest, do you immediately take over the pace of connection? Do you find yourself texting first, suggesting meetups, trying to make it happen? Do you feel uncomfortable or vulnerable when a man wants to care for you? These are clues. Feminine energy doesn't chase. It responds. It invites. It magnetizes. And when you operate from your feminine in dating, something miraculous happens. You stop over-functioning and start discerning. You allow men to reveal who they are, not because you're controlling the situation, but because you're no longer rushing to fill in the gaps. You become receptive, not passive. You become powerful, not forceful. You allow space and watch who steps into it. And this shift from masculine doing to feminine receiving is magnetic to high-quality, emotionally available men. They want to lead. They want to support. But they also need space to rise. So the next time you're dating, I invite you to pause. Ask, am I trying to make this happen or am I allowing myself to receive what's real? And if letting go of control feels scary, that's okay. That just means there's healing here. But trust me, when you lean back into your feminine, the right man leans in. He's not intimidated. He's inspired. He doesn't take from your light. He meets it. If this speaks to your soul, share this video with another high-achieving woman who needs to hear it. So many of us have been stuck in the masculine grind in love, and it's time to come home to something softer, deeper, and infinitely more fulfilling. Because your feminine energy isn't a liability, it's your superpower in love. Let's talk about efforting in love. This one is so close to the heart, especially for high-achieving women. I remember sitting with a woman, let's call her Danielle. She said to me, Megan, I don't get it. I give everything. I show up, I support him, I help him grow. I'm loyal, patient. I try. And still, he pulls away. Still, I end up alone. Her voice cracked when she said, I don't know how to be more valuable than I already am. My heart broke a little because I saw myself in her. Maybe you do too. Danielle, like so many of us, was taught that love is something you earn. That value comes from how much you give, how much you endure, how much effort you put in. So when she met a man who kept her at arm's length, who gave just enough to keep her hoping, but never enough to make her feel truly secure, she doubled down on effort. She texted first, planned the dates, offered help when he was down, made excuses for his distance. All the while, her heart was starving, and she didn't even know it. Here's the truth, love. Emotionally available, high-value men don't fall for your effort. They fall for your embodiment. They're not attracted to how much you can give. They're drawn to how deeply you know your worth. But if you're still over-functioning, over-giving, and proving yourself, what you're unconsciously saying is, I don't believe I'm enough, so let me earn you. And that energy, that chasing loop, doesn't attract real intimacy. It attracts men who are happy to take and reluctant to give. So let's get honest. Do you feel anxious if you're not showing up in some visible way for a man? Do you fear he'll lose interest unless you're being useful or accommodating? Do you feel safer doing than receiving? That's a survival strategy, one that might have helped you get love growing up, but one that's exhausting to live out now. Because here's what healthy love looks like. You don't have to prove. You just have to be. It's not your effort that makes you worthy. It's your energy, your alignment, your ability to hold your standards without over-explaining or overextending. That's what draws in a man who wants to give, who wants to meet you. So what do you do if you're stuck in this effort equals value cycle? You step back. You let the space. When you feel that impulse to fix, plan, or follow up, pause. Ask, if I did nothing right now, would he show up anyway? Am I afraid to stop trying because I don't trust that I'm already enough? That's your work. Because when you stop trying so hard, you start seeing clearly and you begin to realize that the kind of man who needs to be managed into connection isn't a man who's emotionally available. He's a man who's comfortable being unavailable because you'll carry the weight. But the right man, the man who's truly ready, he'll show up even when you're soft. Especially when you're soft. So let go of the need to prove. Your value was never in your effort. It's in your energy. And when you truly believe that in your bones, the whole game changes. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop performing and start receiving. You stop settling and start soaring. I want to tell you about Lena. Lena is warm, generous, deeply empathetic. She's the kind of woman who always sees the best in people, especially in men. She came to me heartbroken after a situationship that dragged on for almost a year. From the beginning, the signs were there. He was hot and cold. He said he wasn't ready for anything serious, but acted like her boyfriend when it suited him. He leaned in when she pulled away and disappeared the moment she softened again. She knew it didn't feel right. But every time he popped back up with charm and vague promises, she let him in again and again. When I asked her what was your boundary with him, she hesitated. And then she said something that so many of us have said. I didn't want to seem too demanding. I was trying to be understanding. Sound familiar? Here's the loving truth, sister. You are not attracting emotionally unavailable men just because of them. You're attracting them because your boundaries don't hold. You may have standards in theory, but in practice, You rationalize red flags. You give second, third, 10th chances. You stay emotionally available to people who are emotionally unavailable to you. That's not compassion. That's self-abandonment. See, boundaries are not about controlling someone else's behavior. They're about honoring your own emotional safety. A boundary is the line between what you want and what you will no longer tolerate. It's the way you protect your energy, your time, and your heart. And if you don't have clear, embodied boundaries, emotionally unavailable men will find you because they're drawn to open doors, unspoken limits. The women who want more but don't quite enforce it. Ask yourself, do I make excuses for inconsistent or confusing behavior? Do I let someone back in just because they miss me, even when they haven't changed? Do I feel guilty for having non-negotiables? These are signs that your boundaries aren't yet anchored in your worth. So how do you change this? It starts with getting radically honest about what no longer feels good. If a man disappears for a week and then casually texts, "Hey stranger," do you respond with flirtation or clarity? If he tells you he's not ready for a relationship, do you hang around hoping he'll change or lovingly release him? When you have strong boundaries, you don't need to push, punish, or persuade. You simply choose differently. And this is where your feminine power roars. A woman who enforces her boundaries with calm confidence is magnetic. She's not cold. She's clear. She doesn't need to defend her standards. She embodies them. And this embodiment repels emotionally unavailable men. They feel it. They know she won't bend herself in half to be chosen. And at the same time, it draws in the men who are ready. The ones who respect her space, her energy, her no. So here's your loving invitation. Begin to honor your discomfort. It's not drama. It's divine. Get clear on what behaviors are no longer negotiable for you. And when someone crosses those lines, let their access reflect it. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be hard. You just need to be consistent. If this is landing for you, share this video with another woman who's learning to reclaim her boundaries. Because this kind of shift from flexible to feminine and firm is how we stop settling for crumbs and start creating queenship in our love lives. Remember this, boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. And only the aligned ones get through. There's a quiet ache that so many high-achieving women carry in their hearts, one that's rarely spoken aloud. You're confident in the boardroom, respected by your peers. You can lead a team, close a deal, launch a brand. But when it comes to love, there's a part of you that still wonders, am I enough as I am? Or do I need to be more to be truly loved? This is what I call unanchored self-worth. And it's one of the biggest reasons women continue to attract emotionally unavailable men. I once worked with a client, Maya, who was breathtakingly brilliant. She ran her own creative agency, had a full social life, and was adored by everyone around her. But in dating, she kept finding herself in one-sided dynamics. She'd fall fast for men who were distant, inconsistent, or emotionally shut down. And every time, she felt like she needed to earn their affection. She told me, "I know I'm worthy. I know I'm a catch. But when they pull away, I panic. I start wondering what's wrong with me." And I said to her, that's not true self-worth. That's conditional confidence. Conditional confidence is when you feel good about yourself, as long as someone else is validating you. But true self-worth is internal, anchored, untouchable. It's the unshakable knowing that you are lovable, even when someone else can't see it. And when your worth isn't anchored, you become vulnerable to emotional scraps. You start accepting men who like you but don't choose you. Men who are curious but not committed. Men who mirror your insecurities instead of meeting your needs. Not because you're broken, but because, deep down, there's still a part of you that believes love must be proven, not received. So let's take a breath here, love. Ask yourself, do I feel anxious when someone pulls away and immediately try to fix it? Do I find myself obsessing over what I did wrong when a connection fades? Do I believe that if I were just prettier, more chill, or more perfect, he would have stayed? If so, please hear me. You don't need to become more to be chosen. You need to remember who you already are. Anchored self-worth isn't arrogance. It's not performance. It's the quiet rooted energy that says, I'm okay with or without your validation. I choose me, even if you don't. So how do we anchor into that? First, you stop tying your worth to outcomes. A man ghosting you isn't proof that you're unworthy. It's proof that he's not your match. Second, you start treating your emotional needs as sacred, not inconvenient. If consistency, affection, and clarity are your core needs, stop gaslighting yourself into thinking you're too much for wanting them. You're not. You're just with someone who can't give what you require. And finally, you create rituals of worth. Speak to yourself with reverence. Write down your wins, not just at work, but in love. Remember the version of you who walked away from what didn't serve her. That woman, she's your anchor. Because when your worth is rooted, your standards rise. You no longer wait to be chosen. You choose. You don't hope he'll see your value. You embody it. And emotionally unavailable men, they fade away, not because you're doing anything different, but because they no longer feel safe in your upgraded energy. And that's a good thing. Because your life and your heart only has space for the ones who can rise to meet your truth. Let me share something that might stir your soul a bit. I once sat with a woman, Isabel, whose voice trembled as she told me, I don't know why I keep attracting men who are emotionally unavailable, but something about it feels so familiar, like I already know how to love them. And my heart whispered, yes, of course it does. Because sometimes the love we chase is the wound we haven't healed. You see, many of us, especially the strong ones, the achievers, the fixers, grew up learning to earn connection. We became hyper-attuned to others' moods, walking on emotional eggshells, learning to overfunction just to feel close. Maybe your father was physically present but emotionally absent. Maybe your mother gave you love, but only when you were good. Maybe you were told you were too sensitive, too needy, too much. And somewhere in all of that, your inner child made a vow. If I can just be perfect enough, I'll be chosen, I'll be safe, I'll finally feel seen. So when a man comes along who is distant, unpredictable, emotionally stunted, that inner child wakes up. She says, here's my chance to finally get it right. But my love, healing does not happen through reenacting the wound. It happens when you refuse to re-enter the same story, even when it feels familiar, even when it feels like home. That's where the real transformation begins. So I want to ask you gently, lovingly, do you feel a magnetic pull toward emotionally unavailable men, even when you know they're not good for you? Do you believe deep down that if you just love them enough, they'll finally open up? Do you confuse chemistry with chaos? Intensity with intimacy? These are not flaws. These are survival patterns. But they are not your destiny. What if the lesson isn't to win over the emotionally unavailable man, but to choose differently so you can finally give your inner girl the love she's always needed from you? This is the re-parenting work, the rewiring, the reclaiming. It's not easy, but it is holy. And it changes everything. Because the moment you stop trying to heal your past through your partners, you stop settling for relationships that mirror your wounds. You start choosing partners who reflect your healing. That looks like peace instead of panic, being met instead of being managed, feeling safe instead of being tested. It might feel boring at first. Calmness can feel like emptiness when your nervous system is addicted to emotional chasing. But with time and a whole lot of love, you begin to recognize this is what safety feels like. This is what availability looks like. This is what I deserve and have always deserved. So if you're still drawn to emotionally unavailable men, pause. Ask yourself not, how can I get him to choose me? But rather, what unhealed part of me is still trying to prove I'm lovable? And then meet that part with grace. Hold her. Love her. Let her know. She no longer has to perform for love. She is love. And from that anchored place, you begin to attract something entirely different. Not because you fixed anyone else, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself. Take a breath with me, love. You've just walked through 6 layers of truth. Some soft, some sharp, all here to bring you home to yourself. And I want you to really feel that. Not just with your mind, but with your whole body. Because this isn't just about dating. It's about healing your relationship with love from the inside out. Let's remember what we uncovered together. We saw how your brilliant, high-achieving energy, the one that serves you so well in your career, can sometimes crowd out your feminine receiving. You don't need to perform to be chosen. You're allowed to lean back, to be adored, to let love come to you. We talked about emotional intensity, that electric pull, and how it can masquerade as chemistry when it's really trauma bonding. You're allowed to choose peace, to trust stillness, to feel safe. You saw how your empathy, your compassion, your open heart, while beautiful, can sometimes override your discernment. You're allowed to ask for more, to slow down, to protect your energy before it gets entangled in someone else's confusion. We explored your boundaries, how they may exist in theory, but crumble in practice when fear or longing takes over. You're allowed to have standards that don't bend, to say no without explanation, to walk away without apology. You were reminded that self-worth isn't a performance. It's not earned through someone else's validation. You are already enough. Period. Full stop. No asterisks. And lastly, you touch the most tender place of all, the part of you that might still be trying to heal childhood wounds through adult relationships. And I hope you heard me clearly here. You are no longer required to reenact the pain in order to feel love. That version of you, the one who chased, who overgave, who waited for breadcrumbs, she was just trying to feel safe. But now, you're being called into a new era, an era of deep self-trust, of anchored worth, of radiant, feminine receiving, of love that feels mutual, consistent. You don't have to fix men to feel valuable. You don't have to chase unavailable hearts to prove yours is worthy. What you do need is to choose you over and over, without shrinking, without guilt. So let me ask you, as we close this heart to heart, what would it look like to only say yes to emotionally available love? What would change if you stopped confusing effort with worth? Who might you become when you stop waiting to be chosen and begin choosing yourself? Let this video be more than information. Let it be an initiation into your feminine power, into your wholeness, into your highest romantic standard. And if this conversation stirred something in you, if your soul whispered yes, even through the ache, then stay close. Subscribe for more of these love realignments, not from a place of desperation, but from devotion to the woman you're becoming, because she's not here to settle. She's here to rise. And I'll be right here with you, guiding, reminding, cheering you on as you create a love life that reflects the queen you are. You are worthy of devotion. You are worthy of reciprocity. You are worthy of a love that's emotionally here. Never forget that. I'm so glad you're here, and we're just getting started.